Imagine pulling up to your dream home in a gleaming Rolls-Royce at just 21 years old, only to have a nosy HOA Karen storm over, accusing you of theft right in your driveway, her wild claims spiraling into a chaotic showdown that ends with handcuffs and sirens. This is the unbelievable tale of entitlement gone wrong. And you won't believe how it unfolds. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we dive into the wildest HOA horror stories and Karen meltdowns that make you question humanity. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. We've got drama, justice, and petty revenge served fresh every week. Smash the like button if you've ever dealt with a nightmare neighbor. And let's jump right into this roller coaster of a story. In the quiet suburbs of a upscale gated community called Willow Creek Estates, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under the watchful eyes of towering oaks, lived a young man named Alex. At just 21, he had already carved out a path that most could only dream of, inheriting a small fortune from his late grandfather, a savvy investor who had built an empire in tech startups. With that windfall, Alex purchased his first home, a modest yet elegant two-story house with white shutters and a wraparound porch that screamed suburban success. But what really turned heads was his prized possession, a sleek midnight black Rolls-Royce Phantom, its chrome accents glinting under the sun like a beacon of achievement. He had bought it outright, a symbol of his independence and a nod to his grandfather's love for luxury cars. The day he moved in, the moving truck rumbled through the gates and Alex followed in his Rolls, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. The neighborhood was governed by a strict homeowners association, known for its ironclad rules on everything from fence heights to holiday decorations, enforced by a board of retirees who seemed to thrive on micromanaging their neighbors' lives. Alex had heard whispers about the HOA's reputation during the closing, but he shrugged it off, focused on starting fresh after years of bouncing between apartments during college. As he unloaded boxes, he noticed curious glances from windows across the street, curtains twitching like silent judgments. Little did he know, one resident in particular had already set her sights on him. Her name was Karen, though no one called her that to her face. She preferred Mrs. Hargrove, president of the HOA board and self-appointed guardian of the community's standards. In her mid-50s, with perfectly coiffed blonde hair and a wardrobe of pastel cardigans, Karen ruled Willow Creek with a clipboard and a glare that could wilt flowers. She had lived there for 2 decades, raising her now-grown children in a house adorned with seasonal wreaths and impeccable flower beds. To her, the neighborhood was a sanctuary of conformity, and any deviation was a personal affront. When she spotted Alex's Rolls-Royce pulling into the driveway, her morning coffee nearly spilled. A young kid like that, driving a car worth more than most houses here, it didn't add up in her world of earned privileges and quiet suspicions. She watched from her living room, binoculars in hand, a habit she claimed was for birdwatching, but everyone knew better. By afternoon, she was already on the phone with fellow board members, her voice laced with indignation as she described the suspicious newcomer. Alex, oblivious, spent the day settling in, arranging furniture and hanging pictures of his family. The house felt like a new chapter, away from the grief of losing his grandfather. That evening, as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the cul-de-sac, Karen made her first move. She marched across the street, her sensible loafers clicking on the pavement, armed with a stack of HOA bylaws. Alex was in the garage polishing the Rolls hood when she approached, her face a mask of forced politeness masking deeper disdain. She introduced herself curtly, welcoming him while eyeing the car like it was a stolen artifact. She peppered him with questions about his background, his job, though he worked remotely as a software developer, pulling in a comfortable income from apps he'd created. But Karen's mind was already racing ahead, convinced that no one so young could afford such extravagance legitimately. She left with a warning about parking regulations, but inside, doubts festered. Over the next few days, Alex tried to blend in, waving to neighbors during jogs and even attending a community barbecue where smiles were exchanged over grilled burgers. Yet whispers followed him, fueled by Karen's subtle campaigns. She posted in the neighborhood app about maintaining property values and watching for unusual activities. Her words veiled but pointed. Alex noticed his mailbox stuffed with anonymous notes reminding him of rules he hadn't broken. Tension simmered as Karen's surveillance intensified. She drove by his house multiple times a day, noting the Rolls license plate and even snapping photos from her car. One night, Alex caught a glimpse of her lurking near his driveway, flashlight in hand, peering into his garage. It unnerved him, but he dismissed it as paranoia from the move. Little by little, the community's warmth cooled. Invitations dried up and stares lingered longer. Karen, meanwhile, delved deeper, convinced Alex's wealth was ill-gotten. She spent hours online searching public records but found nothing incriminating. His inheritance was clean, his business legitimate. Frustrated, she escalated, calling a special HOA meeting to discuss security concerns. There, she painted Alex as a potential threat, her voice rising as she described the Rolls as evidence of something sinister. The board nodded along, swayed by her authority, and voted to impose new fines on luxury vehicles, claiming they attracted unwanted attention. Alex received the notice in the mail, a hefty penalty for non-conforming parking, despite his car being in the garage. Bewildered, he appealed, but Karen stonewalled him at every turn. As weeks passed, the harassment grew bolder. Karen rallied a group of like-minded neighbors to patrol the streets, ostensibly for safety but really to monitor Alex. They noted his comings and goings, questioned delivery drivers about packages to his door. Alex felt isolated, his dream home turning into a pressure cooker. One afternoon, while washing the Rolls in the driveway, a rare treat on a sunny day, Karen confronted him directly, her accusations spilling out in a torrent of suspicion. She demanded proof of ownership, insisting the car must be stolen or funded by shady means. Alex, stunned, tried to explain, but she wouldn't listen, her face reddening as she threatened to call the authorities. The encounter left him shaken, the neighborhood's eyes on them like spotlights. That night, Alex researched HOA laws, realizing he might have grounds to fight back, but the emotional toll was mounting. As the sun rose on another day, the stage was set for escalation, with Karen's obsession teetering on the edge of something irreversible. The confrontation in the driveway lingered in Alex's mind like a bad dream, fueling a resolve to stand his ground. He documented everything, the notes, the patrols, the unfair fines, building a case against the HOA's overreach. Meanwhile, Karen's crusade intensified. She contacted local police non-emergency lines, reporting suspicious activity at Alex's address, describing the Rolls-Royce as potentially linked to theft rings she'd read about online. Officers dismissed her calls as baseless, but she persisted, her entitlement blinding her to boundaries. In Willow Creek, alliances shifted. Some neighbors grew weary of Karen's drama, whispering about her past feuds over everything from mailbox colors to dog leashes. A few even approached Alex privately, apologizing for the cold shoulder and sharing stories of her tyranny. Emboldened, Alex attended the next HOA meeting, a tense gathering in the community center where fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. He presented his evidence calmly, highlighting how the new rules targeted him unfairly. Karen, presiding from the head table, interrupted repeatedly, her composure cracking as she defended her actions as necessary for community integrity. The meeting devolved into murmurs of dissent, with a vote narrowly passing to review the fines. But Karen wasn't done. Humiliated, she doubled down, spreading rumors that Alex's inheritance was fabricated, perhaps tied to fraud. She even hired a private investigator on her own dime, a shady character who tailed Alex to coffee shops and gyms, snapping photos that yielded nothing but ordinary life. Alex noticed the follower one day, a nondescript sedan mirroring his roots, and his unease turned to anger. He confronted Karen at her doorstep, demanding she cease, but she slammed the door, later filing a complaint for harassment. The neighborhood app exploded with posts dividing residents into camps, those tired of Karen's reign and those loyal to her vision of order. As summer faded into fall, leaves crunching underfoot, the pressure built. Karen organized a petition to evict Alex, claiming his presence lowered property values, gathering signatures door to door with tales of his mysterious wealth. Alex countered by starting his own group chat for reform-minded neighbors, gaining traction as stories of past injustices surfaced. One evening, during a neighborhood block party meant to foster unity, tensions boiled over. Karen cornered Alex by the buffet table, her voice rising as she accused him outright of stealing the Rolls, citing anonymous tips she'd invented. Neighbors gathered, phones out, recording the spectacle, Alex remained composed, pulling out his phone to show registration papers, but Karen swatted at it, knocking it to the ground in a fit of rage. The crowd gasped as she ranted about kids these days and ill-gotten gains, her words slurring with emotion. Security called by the event organizers intervened, but Karen shoved one aside, escalating the chaos. Police arrived, summoned by multiple calls, and after reviewing footage from bystanders, they warned her about disorderly conduct. Undeterred, she followed Alex home that night, parking outside his house and honking repeatedly, demanding he come clean. Alex called the cops himself, and officers issued her a trespass warning. But Karen's obsession had crossed into delusion. She began vandalizing his property subtly, keying the Rolls door in the dead of night, caught on his newly installed security cameras. The footage was damning, showing her masked figure under streetlights. Alex filed a report, but Karen denied it vehemently, claiming hackers tampered with the video. The investigation dragged on, with detectives interviewing neighbors who corroborated her erratic behavior. As winter approached, snow blanketing the lawns, the HOA board faced internal revolt. Members resigned, citing Karen's leadership as toxic, and a special election loomed. Karen, sensing her power slip, made a desperate play. She forged documents suggesting Alex's home violated zoning laws, submitting them to City Hall. But her forgery was sloppy, watermarks mismatched, and officials flagged it immediately. Word spread and the community turned against her fully. Alex, now with legal counsel funded by his inheritance, sued the HOA for harassment and defamation, seeking damages that could bankrupt the board. Court dates were set, depositions grueling as Karen's web unraveled. In a final act of defiance, she confronted Alex one last time in the community park, where families picnicked under bare trees. She screamed accusations, drawing a crowd. But this time police were already en route from a prior tip. As sirens wailed in the distance, her actions sealed her fate, leading to a climax no one saw coming. The park confrontation marked the breaking point, with Karen's unhinged rant captured on dozens of phones going viral overnight in local forums. Police arrived swiftly, finding her blocking Alex's path, her face contorted in fury as she waved falsified papers. Officers attempted to de-escalate, but she resisted, shoving one and attempting to flee only to trip over a bench in her haste. Handcuffed on the grass, she protested her innocence, claiming victimhood in a system rigged against upstanding citizens. The arrest for assault, forgery, and vandalism shocked Willow Creek, headlines splashing across community newsletters and even local news. Karen was booked, her mugshot a stark contrast to her polished HOA persona, and released on bail with a no-contact order. The HOA dissolved her presidency immediately, electing a new board focused on fairness. Alex's lawsuit proceeded, resulting in a substantial settlement that covered his legal fees and more, allowing him to upgrade his security and even donate to neighborhood improvements. With Karen facing trial, evidence mounting from cameras, witnesses, and her own digital trail of obsessive emails, she pled guilty to lesser charges, receiving probation and community service, ironically cleaning parks she once patrolled. The experience transformed Alex. He became an advocate for HOA reform, speaking at meetings and starting a blog that gained followers nationwide. His Rolls-Royce, once a symbol of controversy, now gleamed without fear, parked proudly in the driveway. Neighbors warmed to him, invitations flowing as the toxic cloud lifted. Karen moved away quietly, her house sold at a loss, a cautionary tale whispered in suburban circles. Willow Creek healed, rules relaxed, and community spirit revived. Alex drove off into sunsets, his youth no longer a curse but a triumph over entitlement's grip. And in the end, justice rolled in like thunder, proving that even the mightiest Karens can fall. That's the insane story of how a simple luxury car sparked an HOA meltdown that ended in arrest, pure karma at its finest. If you enjoyed this tale of neighborly nightmare, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more epic HOA dramas, and drop a comment below sharing your own crazy neighbor stories. We'll see you in the next one. Stay petty-proof out there.